What a game, by the way. An absolutely incredible game. A great start on the mound from Max Fried. Gets it done, gets the Braves into a position where they can go to the bullpen late. They shut down the Dodgers lineup. Austin Riley is the most underrated player in all of Major League Baseball. I hear your other names. I do. I promise. This guy's an MVP caliber player. This guy's an absolute stud, and Austin Riley gets it done for the Atlanta Braves in the bottom of the ninth. What a game. Look, we don't need to look much further than what happened there in the ninth. For me, this ninth inning was a huge part of this game. You have Chris Taylor getting caught in between the bases. What are you doing there? I legitimately think Chris Taylor could have crawled to third base. He could have walked there. Instead, he puts the brakes on, he falls in the middle of the base path, and then he's tagged out, and then the Braves, of course, against one of the best relievers in baseball, Blake Trinan, walk it off in the bottom of the ninth. Absolutely incredible. Look, this Max Fried is a certified stud. He's a stud. Today was game one of the Dodgers and the Braves. Max Fried, you got him on the bump, who, look, this guy's a stud. His stuff is incredible. To me, to have him start in game one and to have the Dodgers having a bullpen game, this was a must-win game for the Atlanta Braves. It really was. If you and you don't want to say it in game one of a series, but this was a game, if you're the Braves, you have to win. You're at home, you got a stud on the mound. The Dodgers couldn't go to Max Scherzer. It was originally thought, we're going to go with Scherzer in game one. But he threw in a high-leverage situation the other night in Game 5 against the Giants, and clearly he just wasn't ready to roll. Look, as much as we just throw starting pitchers out there in big situations, we sometimes forget that there is a recovery period. There's a reason that you take 5 days in between starts until you can go again. So Scherzer just wasn't ready to go yet today. Instead, he's going to go in Game 2, so you have a bullpen game. You have Corey Knebel back out on the mound for Game 1. Of course, he throws the wild pitch in the first inning, run ends up scoring, but they end up settling down. Dave Roberts has managed this bullpen incredibly throughout the playoffs, and today was just another example to that. You end up getting to the ninth inning, you bring in a stud in Blake Trinan, and it just doesn't pay off. It just doesn't work out. But what a game. Game one of the series, the Atlanta Braves have walked it off, and Austin Riley gets it done. I am so excited for this series. Look, as much as the Dodgers are big favorites in this series, but I feel like the second that Ronald Acuna went down for the Atlanta Braves, it became, yeah, this isn't, they're not going to be able to compete. But this team just gets it done with so many guys throughout this lineup. They bring in like 5 pieces to just make up for the one player in Ronald Acuna. You got Duvall, you got Soler, you got Rosario, you got Peterson. All these guys are brought in just to make up for what Ronald Acuna does, and it's working. This team has battled and battled and battled to get here in the NLCS against one of the best teams in all of baseball, and Austin Riley, the unsung hero of the night. And for that reason, for all of those reasons, Austin Riley is absolutely my player of the game. A huge bomb, huge mammoth bomb early in the game to tie it, which they desperately needed because, look, Will Smith hits that home run early. And then it looks like, okay, this is the Dodgers. Here they go. They're starting to figure out Max Fried. And then there it is. Austin Riley gets it done to end the game, the big homer. And then there's the ball down the line, scoring Albies, who just stole to get into position, by the way. This was such a well-played game on all sides. That base-running blunder by Chris Taylor is so unlike the Dodgers. It's more like the Braves, who Adam Duvall did it multiple times the series before, but not this series. Not this time. Chris Taylor and the Dodgers make the error. The Braves walk it off in that bottom of the ninth for an exciting finish to that game and a great start to this series. So now we look at tomorrow. Ian Anderson on the mound against Max Scherzer. Now they get their guy on the mound. Now Max Scherzer gets to take the ball. But Ian Anderson's no slouch himself. I'm excited for this series. I think people wrote off the Braves, but this is going to be fun. This is going to be really fun. And as I continue to say, if you can win that second game, you're in good shape going home. And that's what the Dodgers have a chance to do tomorrow. With their stud on the mound, they can win that second game. heading home. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that game tomorrow. Look, Ian Anderson is another name. This team just has guys that fly under the radar continually. Austin Riley, for one. Ozzie Albies, by the way, is a stud. We all know Freddie Freeman, but Ian Anderson is one of those guys. This rotation continues to get it done. And Ian Anderson's going to be on the mound, and he's going to give you a great start. He's such a young guy. That's the thing with this rotation. That's kind of the story of this series and this look ahead, is that you have one rotation that's super, super young, but really talented. And then on the other hand, you have a rotation full of Max Scherzers. And, you know, these guys are young, and Walker Buehler and Julio Urias, but they have that playoff, you know, they have that experience. They have that World Series experience. They know how to get there. Julio was the only pitcher in baseball this year to get to 20 wins. So this Braves rotation isn't super well known, but they should be. And we're gonna find out now. You know, they've gone all year pitching good baseball, but we get to find out now. Now they're on the biggest stage in the world against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now we get to see them on this stage. We get to see Max Fried do what he does. We get to see Max Fried be an absolute stud of an athlete and bounce off the mound with the speed demon Albert Pujols at the plate and beat him over there. And obviously, that's kind of jokingly. Albert Pujols is slower than molasses, but still a good hitter against lefties, and Max Fried is a lefty. But there was kind of this in-between play, and Max Fried saves it, honestly. Jumps off the mound, makes a great play, races over, and beats Pujols to the bag. What a game. What a great game this was, back and forth. I'm so excited for the rest of this series. Let's go ahead and look at some of the fan questions we have from this game. I know we tweeted out asking you guys to send in some questions so you could be a part of this live show. So let's take a look now at some of those questions. This one comes from Pamela. Ben and Flippin Bats pod, the Dodgers offense doesn't seem to be firing on all cylinders. Why do you think that is? Yeah, that's a good question. Look, this team is known for, you look on paper and this offense is incredible. But one thing that I think, and we've been talking about this a lot, but one big factor, and I think we can't stress it enough, is Max Muncy being out. I think Max Muncy being out is a huge blow to this team. Obviously, they're still full of a bunch of studs, but Max Muncy not being in that lineup, he's different than everybody else in this lineup. Max Muncy is an on-base guy that drives the ball out of the yard, too. Like, he's such a complete bat. So you stick him at first base, and instead of having like this 8 or 9 spot in the lineup, or 7 or 8 spot in the lineup that's a little weaker, you have Max Muncy in the 4-hole, which allows you to put Will Smith, who's playing like the best Dodger right now, by the way. Will Smith is incredible. People have said, why is he in the 4-hole? Because he can't get out. But if you have Max Muncy in that 4-hole, then you can afford to push Will Smith down to 5 or 6. So Max Muncy right now is out with that arm injury that we saw early on, or right at the end of the season. And who knows when he's going to come back. He's not on the roster for this series. This is such a huge blow for this team. He's a guy that hits lefties well. He's a guy that rakes against righties. This is a guy that does it all. So, you know, this team has a bunch of strengths in their lineup, but to be able to have a guy like Max Muncy in the middle of that lineup that doesn't have a weakness, God, we're really seeing where that is detrimental to this team. And when you ask the question, why aren't they firing on all cylinders? Can they again? Look, this team is talented enough to do so, but look, it's going to be a struggle without Muncy. It really is. This team is going to struggle without Max Muncy right there in that 4-hole, and that's going to be a problem for them. So look for you need these guys to step up, and nobody really did tonight. You need a guy like Chris Taylor to step up, a guy like Cody to come off the bench, Bellinger to come off the bench and step up, and they didn't. Mookie really needs to step up. Some guys need to pick up from where Max Muncy's talent is, and they all need to pick up him being out of the lineup, because this is killing that team. It really is. This is killing that team. So let's move on to another question. Let's see what we got. This one comes from Ben and Flippin Bats. Figured why Peterson wears pearls, please. Or figure why Peterson wears pearls, please. Thanks. I can tell you exactly why Jock Peterson wears pearls. And look, I've heard him talk about it in interviews, and he said he got them and they're real pearls. Here's why he wears them. I can promise you this. He wears them because he started doing well when he started wearing them. I can't tell you how many times over the course of my career, over the course of being in a locker room, guys start struggling, they don't know why, they do something out of the norm, and next thing you know, you're doing it for the rest of the year. So Jock Peterson is literally wearing a pearl necklace and tearing it up in October. Jocktober, baby, that's why he's wearing those pearls, because of that. Look, I've seen some of the craziest things. When guys are struggling at the plate or they want to do better, they will not stop at anything. And once you do it, if it's successful, you continue to do it. Look, baseball players are a creature of habit. They really are. And I know some of these stories that are more PG-13 or R that I'm not going to share what players have done, but even down to what they eat that day. If I went 4 for 4 at the plate and I ate whatever it may be, if I ate Chipotle before the game, for the rest of the year there's a good chance I'm eating Chipotle. That is why Jock Peterson continues to wear these pearls, because he rakes when he does it. And it just adds to the allure of Jocktober. Of course he wears pearls. He's dyed his hair, he's hitting bombs, and he's wearing a pearl necklace. Because of course Jock Peterson is wearing a pearl necklace as he takes down the Dodgers in Game 1. All right, next question. Let's see what we got. This one comes from Mara. Ben and Flippin Bats pod. Do you agree with starting Knebel? This is a good question. Okay, so let's run through this. Corey Knebel started Game 5 against the Giants. It went well. You got out of the inning. The game went well. Let's do it again. So I was a little surprised to see it today. Look, we all know Max Scherzer was going to start this game. Clearly, he woke up today or late in the day yesterday, said, I'm probably not going to be ready yet. Let's go with Game 2. And then you look at, another starter in the rotation. And look, Julio Urias, he just pitched. He just pitched in Game 5. He came in after Knebel, so he's not going to be the one that starts Game 1. So then what else do you have? Walker Buehler, who also threw late in that series. Maybe, doubtful he could have gone, but his home and road splits are crazy. Crazy. Walker Buehler, friend of Flippin Bats pod, by the way, so check out his episode if you're a Walker Buehler fan. His home and road splits are crazy, so you want him in Game 3. You want to have him start in Game 3. So your goal in these 2 road games is to split one of them. Can it be this first bullpen game? Turns out, no. Can it be the game we start Max Scherzer? We will see tomorrow. But then if you do win that, then you get to start Walker Buehler at home where you know he shines. So, look, I think he started Knebel because it worked in Game 5. They knew they needed to rely on the bullpen in this game. So let's just do the same thing again. We'll do the exact same thing. We'll start Corey Knebel. We'll bring somebody in out of the bullpen. Then we'll go to an innings eater kind of guy like they did Tony Gonsolin tonight, Julio Urias the other night, and then we'll just figure it out at the end of the game. And they did. Look, the problem with this game tonight wasn't the pitching of the Dodgers. It was the hitting. They scored 2 runs. They didn't get it done. They had a runner in scoring position multiple times, and they didn't get it done. So the story of this game is about the offense not getting it done, not Corey Knebel starting this game. The pitching did a good job. Kudos to Dave Roberts and how he handled this pitching staff today. Let's hear the next question. This one comes from Marcus. I think the Dodgers will miss Kershaw in the rotation. Braves in 7. They're definitely missing Kershaw in this rotation, Marcus. Absolutely. And you saw it on a game like tonight. This is Kershaw's game. This is his game. You don't have a bullpen game. You don't have to have a bullpen game because you have another starter in that rotation. So you look at this team, they have Scherzer, they have Buehler, and they have Urias. Who else do you have? You have a bullpen game. Unless you're bringing somebody back on early rest, you have a bullpen game. If they had Clayton Kershaw, this is his game. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. They are really missing Clayton Kershaw, and we've seen it throughout the postseason, and we're seeing it now because this was his game. I totally agree with that. I don't know if I agree with Braves in 7. we'll see. This series is, I agree with you in 7 games. This series is going to be great. We saw that tonight. Close game, down to the wire, walk-off in the 9th. I agree with you. I think this series goes the distance. Next question. Let's see what we got. This one comes from Cody Bellinger is back. What other purpose does the third base coach do if he isn't telling Taylor to run or stay at second? You tell me. He can see the play perfectly. How is that on Taylor? Whatever you think he is a bench player when he leaves the Dodgers, he will be starting wherever he goes. Chris Taylor's a stud. Chris Taylor is an absolute stud. He just made a mistake tonight. And so here's the rule when it gets to professional baseball on base running. If the play is in front of you, okay? So if I'm running from first base, and this camera is second base, any ball that is hit to center field or left field, it's on me. I'm not looking at the third base coach a single time. It is on me to make my own decision on whether to go or stay. But any ball hit to right field, it is on the third base coach. So you're right. What is the third base coach doing here? I haven't seen the replay to see if he was calling him over and then he held him up, or if Chris Taylor was going on his own, because that's the problem you get caught up in when a ball is hit to right field, is you start looking that way. And then it slows you down, and then you don't see what the third base coach is telling you. So I would have to see a replay, but you're absolutely right. What is the third base coach doing there? Because this is unacceptable. It's either a really, really bad error on Chris Taylor's behalf, or it's a really, really bad blunder on behalf of the third base coach. One of those is true. You cannot make that mistake in this big of a game. That, I don't think it's far-fetched to say a decision that could have cost them game 1. Who knows if that next batter is going to get a hit? Now the Braves take game 1. Tomorrow is game 2. Let's see if the Dodgers can win that big game 2 with their stud on the mound, because like I said, all you can ask for is a split on the road. Thanks for watching. If you love Flippin Bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.